Well, look, do you want to kick it off? Just same as always, just interest people who you are if they don't know your name, if they've never heard of the book before, and kind of break it down for them.
Sure, man. My name is Dustin Dixon. I'm 25 years old. I'm from Nova Scotia, Canada. I'm an author. I recently self-published my debut novel, The Unnaturals. And now I'm here with Johnny, kicking it, trying to expand the borders across the big pond over there. So here we are.
So good man. So I guess best place to start is, what made you decide to actually write a book? Had you always decided you were going to write a book, or was this something you wanted from a child, or something that you kind of stumbled upon?
Ever since I was a kid, I was always very interested in storytelling. Me and my brother and my father, every Friday night for probably 10 years or more, we would go to Blockbuster and rent 3 movies every single Friday night. So since I was a kid, I was always kind of wrapped up in the storytelling, and then that branched into books and music and video games and all the different avenues that can take. And I've always been in love with it. So just recently I had the idea for a book, and I just decided that now is the time, and I chased after it and wrote it, and here we are.
Hell yeah, man. Was it always dystopian? When you thought about writing a book before, did you kind of have in mind what you were going to write the book about, or was the sort of dystopian science fiction, did that come sort of in part of the process?
I would say probably my first love was always fantasy fiction. Like the books that I tended to read were fantasy books, but as I kind of came about the idea of becoming an author myself, I just felt like the fantasy genre was so saturated that there wasn't much space for me. I would have to create an entire new world and all these new characters and languages and so on and so forth. And the idea for the story for the Unnaturals just came to me, and it was so obviously a dystopian story that it was second nature. I didn't really have to make a decision there. I just had this idea, and I wrote the story based on that.
Nice. And how long did it take you to actually write the book, from sort of the inception to getting your notes to going through all of your drafts and edits to the actual release of the book itself?
I would say it took about almost a full year. Once, because I had the idea for the story 2 years before, and when I actually decided to make the commitment and sit down and write it, I would say it took probably almost a full year, and that includes the actual writing itself, where I flew out to British Columbia, which is the polar opposite of Canada, and I wrote probably 50,000 words out there in about a month or so. And then I came home, and that's when the editing process began, which takes months and months unto itself. So I would say it takes about a full year, at least. And I'm still to this day reading through the story and seeing little bits and portions. And I just feel like I could edit that part maybe a little bit better. I could change things. So I'm not sure that the process will ever be fully finished, but it it is what it is. This is where we're at now.
Of course. And do you plan to actually ever go back and make revisions and release a revisioned copy, or maybe just an unofficial revision, but just kind of change it up in the process?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at right now. Like just last week, I read through it and I found one typo in the first 20 or 30 pages, and nobody else has noticed it or mentioned it to me at least. And as soon as I found that, now I can't sleep at night. I'm awake thinking about this typo. So yeah, I'm going to be releasing a secondary edition probably very shortly.
Do you know what it was? Because I'm very particular on things like that. Like, and I look almost on purpose for these like continuity issues, or like little issues where the spelling, or like if something's on the wrong page. Like, what part was it you actually find?
It was one word. It was the word monstrous, and I believe that it's in the first. It might even be in the first 10 pages. I'm not exactly sure because I already went through and changed it, but it was there, and it's been there for like a couple months. And like I said, nobody else has mentioned it. So, and even when I read through it, it jumped out at me because I know each and every word so well. But as soon as I seen it, I just shook my head and I couldn't believe it. So yeah, like I said, I don't think that this process will ever fully be finished. It's just kind of the nature of the beast kind of thing when you're a creator, and especially one like this where you can go back and make revisions and changes and improvements, even if they're very slight. Yeah, no, that one word, man, it's been bothering me. It's been bothering me for days.
I assume it is very common then, not only in books, but especially in that sort of science fiction niche where, there can be continuity issues. I mean, Lord of the Rings or even The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien, that has been released countless times over the years, and they're just making revisions, changing bits and pieces here and there. And do you feel like that's something for yourself, or do you just kind of want to get a couple of revisions done to the point where you're happy and then just leave it where it is then?
Yeah, I would say so. Like you said, even with these major novels that are staples in the industry, you could still find little mistakes here and there. Like I had a post on my Instagram from the first Harry Potter book, and on the back of that book, there's a typo right on the back of the book, and I was blown away because A, it's Harry Potter, so it's one of the biggest books of all time, and B, they had so many people working on that and it still slipped through. So I kind of cut myself a little bit of a break. Like normally I would beat myself up about that kind of thing, but I decided to cut myself a break and just make the change. And yeah, I can see probably, well, I hope that this will be the last revision that needs to be done, but you never know, man. It's just when you have 70,000 words or more inside of a novel, there's bound to be one or two mistakes in there. And it's something that keeps writers awake at night, but it's also